Hello everyone, welcome back to English Conversation 3 class. Oh, this is already week 2. I hope everyone get used to this cyber lecture. I think I'm a bit, getting used to um, do this kind of awkward cyber lecture. All right. Okay, my class, did you enjoy watching White Child, the story of the Pharaoh children? I think when you um, listen to the today's lecture and then including the last lecture, um, then you will find out what would be the problem of the genie who were the wild child. Right. That's why I ask you to watch the video because in that video you will see that you I think already watched the video and you find out that Genie she's deprived of speaking any language, and then you will find out the reason. And that's the importance for us uh, who's become an English teacher in the future, because we will realize through that video what was the important factor to make my students um, increase their level of English. Okay, so let's think about creating context for language learning. I think most of you guys already aware about that context, situations. It's very important for learning language. So as an English teacher, you have to create, the best context, the best situation as much as you can for your students to be able to learn English. Look at this. Language is our cultural tool. We use it to share experience, so to collectively, jointly make a sense of it. Language is therefore not just a means by which individuals can formulate ideas and communicate them. So language is not just a tool to communicate each other, but language is also a means for people to think and learn together. It means that if there's no language, people cannot think. Let's think about, do you think in Korean or in English? I'm pretty sure because your mother tongue is Korean, so you think in Korean rather than in English. Okay? For bilingual, sometimes depending on context, they think in Korean sometimes, but they think in English. That's happened to me, right? So if you want to increase your level of English, sometimes it's good to think in English, and then it's good to learn something in English together, right? So that's why I provide some theoretical background in English. So you learn some kind of the theory, which is very important thing is in learning English and teaching English. Uh, so when you learn this kind of the theory in English, is also way to improve your level of English. Have you heard about social view of learning? Um, Vygotsky, who is a Russian psychologist. He already passed away. He was also a doctor. He's very famous for social cultural theory. Social cultural theory means that they see human development as a social rather than individualistic. So it means that the people they are um, developing through the social rather than individual by themselves. In other words, an individual development is thus to a significant extent a product, not a prerequisite. So individual development is also the significant extent of education, the result of her social, historical, and cultural experiences. So language is also part of the individual development. Prerequisite means that they are born to be. So language is not the prerequisite. If language is prerequisite, how come she's rarely speak any language? She doesn't have any experience. She doesn't have any social interaction with anyone for 13 years. She didn't even have any education. She didn't even have a social, historical, and cultural experience. That's why she could not speak any language. Does it make sense? You don't have to agree with me all the time, but based on this theory, we can explain the phenomenon of the genie, why she couldn't speak any language after she's deprived from any social interaction when she trapped in the basement for 13 years. Also, social verbal learning, they insist that we are all biologically able to acquire language. Yes, human being, we are different from the other animal because we have ability to learn language. And what language we learn, how adapted we are at using it, and the purpose for which we are able to use it are a matter of the social context and situations we have experienced. Right, so which language we speak, it doesn't really matter, but is a matter of social context. So when you are in the social context where the main language is English, of course your mother tongue can be English. And if you are in a social context where your mother tongue is Indonesian, of course you are able to speak the Indonesian as a mother tongue. And also situation is very important. If you are in the business situation, it's very easy to pick up the business English. But when you are some kind of the other social situation, like to chat with friends in English, then it's much easier. And definitely you pick up the some kind of the everyday English, easily through the conversation with your friend. So in a very real sense, what and how we learn depends very much on the company we keep. So how we learn is very related with somebody else who are around you. So in terms of Jean's case, did she have anyone around her for 13 years? Well, did she have any books, TV, even radio? Nothing. So it means that what happened to her? Did she have any chance to interact with anyone or anything? Now, reading a book is also in interaction. And also watching the TV, even though it's not reciprocal, it's kind of interaction, passively. You listen someone language. But did she have anything like this? Think about this. Have you heard about Zone of the Proximal Development, which is also called GPD? I think if you haven't heard about this one, you will learn it soon. This is kind of the scaffolding theory as well. Bigger refers to the distance or the cognitive gap between what a child can do unaided and what the child can do jointly and in a coordination with a more skilled expert. So it means that the GPD developments refer to the differences between what a learner can do without help and what he or she can achieve with the guidance and encouragement from the skilled partner. So the term proximal refers to those skills that the learner is close to mastering. For example, if children find out something, including the speaking any language, found out that kind of the task is too difficult, probably she will need help from someone. It can be the caregiver, can be the parents, sister, brother, older sister and brother, whoever who has got more ability than that children. So if children get a help from that person who has got higher ability, then children easily can master that task at the end. So anyone who has been involved with the young children is familiar with what this looks like in practice. I think I showed this kind of example in last lecture, how children pick up the language. When children are learning to feed or dress themselves, the adults at first has to perform the whole activity. Then child gradually perform parts of the activity with the parents. They are assisting with the more difficult parts. Finally, the child is able to do the wild things unaided. So, for example, when you look at the children, first time they cannot feed and dress themselves. So the children need help from the adults. So adults help the children to feed themselves, dress themselves. But as time goes by, children gradually perform just some part of the activity. Maybe they are feeding themselves, but not is complete. Just they cannot pick up the spoon by themselves. Sometimes they they pick up very easily, and the place around them become very messy when they feed themselves, things like that. But gradually, they learn how to feed themselves because they get help from adults. It can be the parents, caregiver, and older sister or brother, whoever. So that's the GPD. That's the gap children cannot do without any help, but because of the help, because of the providing of the assistance, finally they can achieve doing that tasks. All right. So that's why the GPD is very important. It is a scaffolding things. You need some scaffolding to learn something. So finally, child is able to do wild things unaided without any help. This is exactly same in learning language. At first, you can't speak some kind of the language properly. You always need some help from a teacher, from your friends, from a book, whoever. So you just do some part of that kind of the conversation, but gradually you can speak really well. So in other words, successful coordination with a partner or assist the performance leads learner to reach beyond what they are able to achieve alone, to participate in a new situation and to tackle new tasks, or in the case of second language learners, to learn new ways of using language. So it means that we need all the GPD, right? Because we can't speak English by ourselves at the moment. We can speak English well, but I mean, to increase our level of English, better, we need the GPD. Okay, someone who are able to speak English better than us. So that so it happened as I said before, the learning language can help through a lot of interactions. So I think many students they already put in the discussions. They mention about that teacher can be the very good scaffolding. They can provide a good scaffolding. Yes, many teacher is very important in learning English, especially in EFL context. EFL means learning English as a foreign language. So like in our classroom, teacher, for me, the most important person who can provide the GPD, Journal of Proximal Development. What else? What else can we think about? What helps you guys to learn a new language better? In our situation with English, So what makes you increase your level of English in our classroom now? First one, teacher, me. Second one, probably your friends. When you speak each other, that really help you to learn English better. What else? Book. Yeah, you can read a book. But we are now learning everyday language. We focus on learning everyday language. Everyday language and scientific language is different. Everyday language is more for conversation things, and scientific language, in other words, in academic language, is more like for the formal English, like writing a thesis, paper, giving a presentation, things like that. I think the presentation, in between the formal and informal, in some sense. So, because this is in English conversation class, we need to learn, more everyday language. Then what else? Yes, of course, your students, your teacher can be your very excellent scaffolder in the class. I can provide scaffolding. I give it lots of material, I explain something in English, and sometimes I give a feedback for your speaking English. But what about out of this class? Do you think it's good enough if we just learn English just 2 hours per week? No, never. English learning should be constant. Just bit by bit every day. So that's why I pick up a movie. Movie is excellent scaffolding, especially when you are out of this class. So when you learn a movie, when you watch a movie every day, what happens? You will exposure to the English, which is authentic English, which is real English, even though you don't have teacher and your friends. You can't really speak English all the time with your friends. Some of your friends will run away if you try to speak English all the time with their friends. They, oh, what are you talking about? And also, I can't be with you guys all the time. So, please watch a movie very often. And that's why I pick up the movie as a good scaffolding for this class in this semester.